With Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on?
What's going on?
I got to give you a ton of credit, Hazy B, because in years past, during the first two periods of that Leaf game, we would have called each other and absolutely carved that team and said they stink. They're not doing anything. I don't know what these guys are doing this year. They're a nothing team. But we had a phone call last night, and you said, you just got to be patient, and they're going to come through in the third period. And that is exactly what they did. So
I'm sorry. I've got to interject.
Jamie,
I was on that group chat. I do not believe what.
Wait a minute.
No. We had a man-to-manner.
Oh, yeah.
And it went like swimmingly well.
Tony Robbins. I threw you off, Noodles.
You were Larry Robbins.
He
on
sent
the
a decoy. He sent some ninja dust your way, and then he called me, and this guy said, Noodles is negative. I need some positivity.
I didn't say a word.
I know.
I just was reading your guys' stuff.
It's just a sign of growth and strength and courage from Hazy B.
Thank you.
And I'm damn proud of you because it came
I
true.
appreciate that.
I'm
and I
proud
hope
of both
people
of you
were I hope someone was tapping the phone to clarify how uber positive we were after 40 minutes last night. And
wow. How was it? I mean, honest to God, how was it easy to be positive at that point? Like, it was
Jamie,
a train wreck.
Everyone knows we're being facetious and being
know.
stupid. It was the worst, most negative phone call we've ever exchanged in our entire time working together.
Yeah.
It was god-awful. It was
that second period last night was legitimately the most lopsided period I can recall from any two teams. Like, I couldn't believe it watching it. Like, I had Pittsburgh. I'm like, man, O's on to something. These guys, they're moving. They're shaking. Their forecheck's electric. Like, Gino looks like he's 25 years old.
No, 21.
Yeah,
Gino Malkin
exactly.
was 21 last night.
He looks so good. The Kindle kid. I'm like, what is happening here? Pittsburgh looks incredible, and the Leafs could not get past their own red line. Like, it was absurd to watch after a brutal first period. But to their credit, and as many people like to say, that didn't age well because you play 60 minutes for a reason. The Leafs turned back the clock in the third because they were famous for that back in the day. A little bit sleepy, yet so much talent, the big boys would say, all right, lights are on, guys.
Hazy.
And that's what happened last night. Matthews and Nylander took over the game.
Somebody tweeted out, I don't know who said it, but somebody said, couple years ago, even last year, they would come back. Not this time. They ain't doing it. I don't know who said that, but they did it, man.
They did it.
A win is a win. You take it. But, man, for 40 minutes, I was like, okay, where's this guy going with this opening? Because I'm like, I was involved in a group chat that did not. And you know me. I just sit there and go, yep. And I was like, and I kept thinking to myself, and I swear in my life, when the shots were 23-8, I was like, there's still going to be a push. Now, I don't know. I didn't believe Jamie, the push was going to be all the way back. I
just want to know, Jamie, when those periods happen, with 2 minutes left in the second, you must just look at your phone and say, I'm waiting for the bubbles to pop up on this group chat because one of these two guys is coming over on the top turnbuckle and going to start talking about this nonsense. Because you're always the voice of reason. You're like, yeah, it's not that good. Yeah, they can play better. And me and Hayes are just throwing haymakers from the top rope, man.
Well, I mean, as we know, we're all involved in several group chats, right? There's a football one. There's an Al's brother trolling one. There's Doogie's involved, Joe from the Bridge. And then the three of us have one. And then the three of us and J-Mac have one. So there's all sorts. I'm watching the goals go in, and my phone, I can hear it go ping, ping, and I'm like, okay, what group chat? And it was the three of us going, this is nonsense. This is, and to look, we're we're just weighing in on what we're seeing. We're not, we're watching as fans and media, but you're like, this doesn't look good at all. Like the Leafs looked uninterested, and to Pittsburgh's credit, they were flying. They were
showed
flying,
up ready to play. Like they looked really good the first 40 minutes.
I don't know if it was talked about today. Did anybody say somebody said something after the second? Did Berube come in and kick a garbage can?
I think Berube had some words. That was said after the game last night. And listen, to their credit, because
they responded.
Yes, you play 60 minutes, and yes, they won the game. Willie, Austin, they all came out and said that start can't happen. But it's amazing with this team.
Happened.
They're 7-5-1. They're third place in the division. And the way I get the impression almost everyone feels about this team, they have not won a game yet this year. And they're on pace to be dead last in the league. And it's not the case. And I think as much as I would not have been in this mindset after 40 minutes, and I was not after 40 minutes watching that last night, and it's been a difficult ride for them, I think there can be a glass half full approach to it, that they're 7-5-1, and it's probably as bad as they could play through 13 games.
That is the glass half full.
Yes, right. and you're waiting for them to come alive. And listen, there was going to be change, and you have to have change. I get why people are getting caught up in the moment. I understand that maybe you want Marner, and maybe you want a ton of offense, and maybe you want, more off the rush, and you want the power play to get cooking. The power play is killing them right now. And there's a lot of different things you might pine for from previous years that were very comforting in November. But the change, and I don't know if they have it right. I'm not here sitting here saying they 100% have it right, or they're going to be competitive by the end of the year or competitive in the playoffs. I don't have that answer for you. Yeah. But some sort of change was mandatory. It had to happen. They had to play a little bit of a different style, bring in some different pieces. Marner chose to leave. That happened, and you got to live without him, and you got to find a way to put pieces in their proper place. And there was always going to be an adjustment. They're a veteran team. Camp was a little bit slow, and again, they're 7-5-1. They're 7-5-1. Now, everyone in the league, like we established yesterday, in the East has 13 or 14 points. Yes. Everyone's right there. And the amazing thing is, we keep talking about their schedule, which has been a very soft schedule and very friendly to the Leafs. They got 3 more home games here the rest of the week. They're at home a lot, and they're going to play tougher competition. But if you look at the top 4 teams in the East, technically, based on points, they've played them all. It's Montreal, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Jersey. They've actually played all the top teams in the East. Yeah. So it's a little bit deceptive even to say, well, their schedule has been so soft based on opponents. Yes, based on last year's standings, but based on this year's standings, the teams that are racking up the points, the Leafs have actually played them, and they've done okay against them. So I will admit my mood shifted, and I understand where a lot of people are coming from with this team.
Your mood shifted?
No, in terms of from the second to the third. Like, they won. Like, they showed talent. Like, Matthews and Nylander came out and said, screw it. And that's big, like, because they're 2 great players. And they have the ability to do that. They have to do it more. They're going to be relied upon a lot. I thought Stolarz, locked it down in the third, which is what he did a lot last year. Point I'm making is I think the general attitude towards the team, and I have it too, I'll admit I'm leading the charge, is the negativity from the way it ended last year, the uncertainty of what they have, the fact that they're older, a little bit slower, the Blue Jays, and everyone loves that. It's 100% approval rate over here. Look at this scrappy team.
Likeable
we love them all. Here come the Leafs. Like, they're being billed as something that is probably a little bit unfair to them, I guess is what I'm saying. And as a result, they got a chance here to run off some wins. And you could be, maybe they're 2 weeks away from losing 4 or 5 in a row, and everyone goes, I knew it. Like what I saw there, I knew it. And they're not good enough, and they don't have enough talent, and their defense isn't any good, and they don't move the puck, and their goaltending is going to come back to life. That very well could be the case in 2 weeks. And if it is, we'll address it. Right. In 2 weeks, they might win 5 or 6 in a row, and they're 3 points out of tops in the East. Yeah. And then what are you going to say? Like, then what do you say if they have more points than anybody else.
I will
still
say,
hate
if
the
you
way
want,
they play and the way that they're built. I mean,
if you want to take them as a real deal hockey team, because they keep having the same issues and the coaches screaming and the poor performances, they need some better players. Like, if they want to be regarded as a real deal hockey team. And I know you just looked at the glass half full. They need a guy back there that's probably, like, if they want to be a real deal hockey team, a guy that's better than Morgan Riley. Like a top flight guy that can move the puck. And you look at what John Tavares is playing with. If all three of those big guys are playing on the top line, they need a couple forwards. They need to stop. And there's no way to do it, though, guys. They have 6 or 7 guys that are all the same player. The Nick Robertsons, the Yarncroaks, the Michelli. Like, it seems like it's the same player, that they're having difficulty trying to promote them and make them be a top 6 forward, and they're not that.
Well,
they're not that. That Michelli, it was a good idea. It was a good try. He's not a top-end NHL hockey.
He's healthy scratched on November 4th.
Yes,
you know?
Right.
Yes,
I mean,
and I don't know I don't know what he's got to offer that's better than what he's brought to the table. So they need better players, and I just wish the league was in a position where you could make some kind of 80s trade, because that's what they need. Like, you can talk about systems and being on top of pucks and getting pucks in deep. They need a guy back there that can move the puck, and they need a couple forwards that can play top-end minutes and produce at a top-end level if you want them to be a top-end team. Until that happens, you're probably going to get – that defense has a real difficult time moving the puck.
They do not move the puck well.
No, anybody that knows hockey or anybody that's involved at the top level in this league would look at that team and say that back end has a difficult time moving the puck up. Guys like Brandon Carlo, great, big, tall guy, physical. He's got this big aura about him. He played for the Bruins. He doesn't move the puck that well. He doesn't do a lot of things that well, to be honest with you, the way he's playing this year. They need different players, and there's not really a way to do it unless you're going to bundle 3 or 4 of those guys that I just mentioned up and ship them out. Because the other thing about them, the players I just mentioned, they're not making $750,000. There's a bunch of them that are like $3 million, $2 million. Like, it's just, they're not cheap guys that don't do a whole lot.
No, it's fair, and it's a fair assessment, because I see. Like, I agree, Brian. Like, I don't think it's as bad as people are painting it, and I think there is – I've always said this. There is going to be change. This is not the team that is going to be going into the playoffs for the Maple Leafs.
How much change can you do, though, Jamie?
Well, Brian, I'm sorry. I think you have to be creative. Every team that wants to get to that next level, cup contender, all of that, there is going to be some change. You're going to have some currency. And I talked about it yesterday. Pittsburgh was a team that's near the top of the standings. I don't know if they'll end up there. But this is the only team in the offseason that was open for business. Now, I don't know if Kyle has changed his thought process, but there are going to be teams that will be open for business just through osmosis. You know, what's going to happen in Calgary? Some of those other teams that are, still rebuilding and turning. I think Tree has sat by. He's assessing his team. He's allowing guys like Easton Cowan to settle in and see where he's going to slot in the NHL. He might have to spend some time in the minors. He might not.
Okay. Jamie, well, let's talk about the Leafs currency. They do not have any, unless you want to come up with a Joe from the Bridge type scenario where people are going to take Yarncrook and Robertson for a top-end player, and it just doesn't have – it's Joe from the Bridge type nonsense.
And I'm not trying to –
It is.
Listen, I'm not trying to defend it. What I'm saying – Joe from the Bridge take it.
It is. It's a Joe from the Bridge proposition. Over the years, he's like, you could package up Robertson and Yarncrook and Kampf, and you could bring in a real – like, he's a moron when it comes to making trades.
Well, let's take it easy. Here's the other thing. I'm just saying, I think this is a work in progress. That's my point. I don't know what you move for currency. Does Robertson move the needle for a team that wants somebody who they think that can play in the top 6? Maybe. That type of stuff. But coming back to what you said, Brian, I think all of those points were valid. We're all sitting there going, you lost the way you lost to Florida. Started the season, there's that Marner hangover. I thought Chris Pronger had an unbelievable quote about the Leafs yesterday.
I agree. It was a great quote.
Because they're a different team. So they're waking up and going, hey, we're skilled. We'll be able to turn that on. They're still skilled there, but it's a different type of skill. And I thought that was a really interesting quote for this team. They're still learning to play a different style without what you just mentioned, they had 3 game breakers, potentially a 4th with Tavares. They don't have that now. They've got 2.5, we'll call it, with Tavares, right? And those 2 took over last night. Nylander and Matthews. Not going to happen every night. But in years past, it was power play and Marner, and those three start cycling, and away they go, and they can grab 2 or 3 goals here or there or even up a game. It's a different look from this group this year, and I still think there's an adjustment period. And some of the stuff that we watched last night, the three of us, I was agreeing with you for 2 periods. That was nonsense.
Were terrible.
It was awful.
Like, there's no sugarcoating. It was awful.
But there is somewhere in the middle that I'm trying to find and give a little bit of reprieve and go, listen, they still have Matthews, still have Nylander. I thought the goalie was great when they needed to be. Like, Pittsburgh could have put a dagger. That could have been for Cobb. He made a couple good saves. You make it 4-0, that game is over. We're not talking about a comeback. He makes a couple big saves. Pittsburgh missed some chances. And I thought Pittsburgh took their foot off the gas. They looked overwhelmed. Like, the coach called the timeout. Like, it was just weird. Like, for a veteran team of those guys, they looked like they didn't have an answer.
Or they ran out of gas.
Yeah.
Because they were flying through 2 periods, and, that's their DNA, I guess, is move. And all of a sudden, it was a brilliant play off the draw. Like, McCabe to Matthews was a brilliant play. It was a great pass by McCabe.
Yeah.
And, listen, their power play, the Leafs power play right now is terrible. They don't go on the power play a lot, but that can change the complexion of things too.
Sure.
Because you look at actual points, individual points, Nylander, Nyes, and Tavares, I believe they're all up in the top 10 in the league in even strength points because they all have a ton of points and they're all 5-on-5 because they don't do anything on the power play. But you're right, and that Pronger quote was a great one in terms of, they used to be just relying on their talent. I'm going to butcher it a little bit.
Yeah, but skill to get through, right?
Yeah, now it's your identity's changed, and it's as if they haven't accepted that yet. And that's where I think you're seeing some confusion with, a guy like Nick Waugh or Dakota Joshua. They can't play like that, and they're not going to play like that. Like, they are going to – the way they're going to be effective is shrink the ice, lean on teams, and, try to cycle and create chances off the cycle. I mean, that's how they're going to create anything in the future. And this is where it's complex, and this is where Berube's got to figure it out. And even Tree Living's got to figure it out. Like, you talk about bringing guys in. Who are you bringing in? Which direction are you going? Are you going in this direction where, okay, I need skill and I need speed? Because I think you look at this team and you could reason with that, pretty seriously reason with that. Or do you double down the other way? I want size and I want, maybe hockey IQ, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't know how he handles that. But, it's a transition for the team. Like, there's no questioning. And they're not, again, Marner's not here, and Marner was thoroughly entertaining to watch play, too. Just to watch Marner. He would make 2 or 3 plays in a game where you'd say, wow, what a play.
Yeah.
You're not getting that out of, whoever is going to replace him in the lineup or the guys who have come in. It's not going to happen. So, and you look at their defense with Tanev out, it's, Benoit, Myers, Carlo, like, that's a struggle.
Tanev wasn't playing well either.
No, exactly. But at least he could eat up some minutes, and you could bank on him turning it around and playing well.
Defensively, too. It's like that guy blocks shots. That guy –
he's a warrior. All the things you say about him, yes.
Right. Yeah, again, I think you look at the team, guys, or the league, it's a watered-down league. I agree with your assessment that they need someone else on the point to be able to move the puck. And Noodles, you've been preaching about that for over a year now. That's very clear. But look at the teams. How many teams in the league have, 4 or 5 talent, like, studs up front, 2 or 3 studs on the point and a great goal? Like, who has that? A fully healthy Florida.
Every team's probably got 6 guys they don't want.
Yeah, like literally every team you can look at, and even the teams that are playing great out of the gate, like Colorado's been outstanding. They've been great. And obviously they have Makar, they got Taves, and McKinnon's been unbelievable, and Nate Chast they just paid.
Yeah.
But, you move beyond that, and there are depth guys who are going to play above or below whatever line you might have for them. And, there's not going to be many teams in the league that are just going to out-talent everybody else because there's not enough talent in the league with 32
teams. And why
teams.
do you think for years Brendan Shanahan and the Leafs would say, we like our players because they're talented and they get us to the playoffs?
They did every single year. For 9 years, they got to the playoffs.
Exactly.
And if the playoffs started tonight, they'd be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
they'd be in the playoffs.
But I will say this: if that's the way the league is, and I've said it for years, you stole my line that the league is watered down. If your best players don't carry their weight, you did. You stole my line.
All right, that's your line. You own that line.
I do.
The league is watered down. That's yours.
I couldn't believe
Trademarked.
you. I just said that.
All right. Well, how do I change it so I can say it without you complaining about me saying it? The league is. I got to
bottom heavy. Bottom heavy.
Bottom heavy. It doesn't even count. Anyway, continue your thought.
The league is equal.
Doogie, Google
a lot of equality.
Same words for watered down.
Yes. Come up with another saying that fits so I can use it.
But
diluted.
It's a diluted league.
Diluted league.
That's
there you
mine.
go. That's yours.
That's mine. It's a diluted league.
But in this situation, if your top guys like Nylander and Matthews don't have that third period, that's probably a 4-1 game.
Of course. But that applies everywhere. Like if Edmonton's down 3-0, guess who's going to get them out of it? It's not going to be Podkolzin, like it's going to be McDavid.
If it is, it's an
Draisaitl.
empty net from Draisaitl.
Yeah. Well, I know, but of course your superstars have got to play like it, and like Willie's been in and out of the lineup. Again, I'm not sugarcoating the way they've been playing. I'm not disputing all of that. I'm just saying, I think you look at it like Matthews and Nylander. That should be the expectation. It's not going to be every period. It's not going to be every night. But if those guys can't be game breakers for you, then you really have a problem. Like, forget how you feel about Michelli or Joshua or what are they going to do with their third D pairing. If Matthews and Nylander at 28 years old apiece don't have the capability of doing what they did in the third period every once in a while, you're toast. Like, then you really are deluded. Because then you just have a bunch of middle of the pack guys.
Well,
like they have to be able to separate, and we've seen it from Willie at times, but the other guys showed up. Like Matthews, I think it was fitting that he was the guy that scored the first goal, and he set up the Willie goal, and that has to happen. You have to rely on those guys to be superstars.
What you need, I think too, though, Brian, and that's where glass half empty, half full, all of that type of stuff. We could, if we decided, okay, for 15 minutes we're going to talk about positive and how things, and it's still early. Like, it's still way early.
2-0 in November, as Joe from the Bridge pointed out.
But also the easiest schedule in the National Hockey League. They don't leave their time zone until like mid-November. Like it's
a lot of home games,
and they should be where they are. They actually should be further ahead based on their schedule and their quality of competition. But what I'm saying, we could have 15 minutes of positive and 15 minutes of like, what scares you or what have you seen so far in the first 5 weeks? And I think everyone would have kind of what we just laid out here in the first 20 minutes. Going, don't like this, don't like that, but here we got like this, we like that. Mm-hmm. And that there's probably 25 teams you could have that conversation with about right now. The inconsistency, either roster construction or, top players not playing well, and you're going, okay, we need more from this. And you can go right through the league. And then there's a few sprinkled at the bottom, and then at the top going, they've had a great start or a poor start. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
So, that's when I watch the Leafs, I don't think that's an end product. I go, yes, it's been changed, all of that, but I still am curious to see what this is going to look like 2 months from now, 4 months from now. If Tree can –
it may not be this season, though. That's what
right.
I think people have to brace for, is that it may not happen this year. It may be a year away. It may be you got to get through this season, and then you've got money, and you recalibrate. You find, all of a sudden maybe you find different assets. You let some of your younger players grow, and they gain more value around the league. That's the thing. And it comes down to availability. For the most part, the top players kind of just stay. It's a very conservative league. The league, how many teams just keep re-signing their own players?
No kidding. Free agent frenzy gets more and more pathetic every year.
Yeah.
Sorry, Duthie,
let me
that's
ask
not
you
an endorsement.
this.
But that's the truth, though. The worst team in the league's we're just going to keep that guy.
We're talking about fourth liner signing on free agent day.
Here's a crazy notion for you. Just because he was right front and center last night, would you take E65?
EK65?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I would, man.
You still would? What's his deal? What does he have left?
Well, you'd have to have money chewed, right? I think he makes 10 or 11.
Does he have multiple years left?
I believe so.
This year and next, maybe.
So yeah, I mean, we'll have to look that up quickly. But what I'm saying is that
it's an interesting thought.
That's one guy.
You can
that
still get up in the play, and you can make a pass
this year and next year at 10, and obviously you'd have to make him a $5 or $6 million player to even make it work, possibly. But that guy had some looks yesterday. Outside of the goal, that was a great play, but he actually looked a little bit more like the Karlsson we would expect. Put it that way. Risk reward all over the ice.
It's a big risk. It's a big risk reward play, bringing him in, because if you get him motivated and he's healthy, he's got the ability to change a game.
Move the puck, man. He can move the puck.
He can move a puck. He can scare an opposition with his ability to make plays and
that's
get
the
up
only
in
thing
plays.
I thought of last night. I was like, okay, you're looking around the league and all that. It just, and again, I don't headline it. I'm not saying, but
those are the guys who can be available.
Right.
As much as Pittsburgh, again, great story, and I was impressed with them. They played well, and they've won a bunch of games, and I still have a tendency to believe that will even out, and their goaltending will even out. And I think Dubas is well aware of what he has to do there. And I think if there's a taker for Karlsson, he'd jump on it. Now, I don't know what that price would be. And I would have to believe if the Leafs were interested, they wouldn't be the only team. If Karlsson plays well enough to get to the trade deadline where he's got value, other teams will be looking at him. But, yeah, I mean, that's probably what we're talking about. It's not going to be some 25-year-old stud. That guy's not getting acquired. No. That guy's not out there. He's not available.
That guy's signed for 8 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that player you're not getting. The only chance you have is a Max Scherzer gamble.
And if anybody wants to know why everyone
gamble.
If anybody wants to know why everyone gets an 8-year deal, is because Hayes, what did you describe the league as?
It's a diluted league.
It's a diluted league, and you don't want to take the chance of that guy going somewhere else.
That's right. That's mine.
Dilution.
Don't ever say that again.
Dilution.
That's mine.
That's a
mine.
Pat Quinn. The way you say it, it's
dilution.
Pat Quinn.
Dilution. All right. There was a trade deadline in the NFL today. The Jets are diluting. They're diluting talent. They're making trades.
Sauce.
And somehow the Cowboys are buyers after last night. They stink. They're terrible. And yet they're buyers. Jeff Saturday will help us explain that. And Mike Johnson coming up. We'll continue the Leaf conversation. The Oilers lost last night in St. Louis. We'll get into that. Mark Scheifele playing great. We promised we'll get to the Team Canada projections. Yeah. We'll do that with Johnny. We got Confirm or Deny coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Also supplying us with lines for Owen Wilson to absolutely choke all over, because it is pathetic what's happening with you and your partner. Absolutely pathetic. And
very concerned.
I'm very concerned. Like Hazenbrough plus 9.
I'm done. I want to join Hazenbrough. Can you make it Hayes? Hayes and Brothers.
Pudge and Brothers. Yeah.
No, I want to be with Hayes and Brothers, not Hayes and Bro.
Don't you turn your back on Luke.
Can you make it Hayes and Brothers?
I'll consider it. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. I'll take it into consideration. I have to consult with my partsy like I always do when any of these kind of things come up. I'll chat with him. We'll get back to you later.
The thing I don't understand is everybody talks about Dallas and how much they stink defensively. Like, why did they make that trade at the beginning of the season then?
Well, it's a good question. Why not pay Parsons? And I guess they went out and got Quinnen Williams today. They picked up a linebacker. Let's bring in a guy who can give us those answers. Here he is, longtime NFLer, Super Bowl champ, ESPN NFL analyst, Jeff Saturday. Jeff, give us your take on the Dallas Cowboys, considering the news we heard today, who they acquired today, and the way they played last night.
Yeah, I think they got two good players. Wilson, he's a good player out of Cincy who, been replaced by the rookie, and so his reps were getting diminished. So I think he'll fit well in that system with Eberflus, and I think Quinnen Williams, anywhere you put him, I mean, he's an absolute train wreck when it comes to the run game, pushing the pocket. And so he and Kenny Clark and then Wilson there in the middle when they get Overshown back. I mean, that'll be a pretty imposing, internal four. And I think if you look back even last year, even with Micah Parsons, they struggled with the run, and part of it was because they were just so weak and vulnerable in through the middle of that defense. So I think they've added up and done well. The truth is with the Micah Parsons, man, it's just hurt feelings. Like Jerry Jones, they thought they had a deal. Micah, however, Micah hadn't really spoken on it, but Jerry said they had some agreement. That then he went back to his agent, blah, blah, blah. It's like a soap opera. And for whatever reason, he let one of the best pass rushers in the game go. And so, however we want to cut it down, I think that it's hard to let really good players walk out of your building. But, pride separated him from Jimmy Johnson. And it looks like probably from Micah as well. But they're doing their best to revamp and try to get guys in there and kind of save face a little bit. I don't know that it's going to make that much marketed difference this season, but there's always a possibility. Like Philly could go into a slide, or somebody could go into a slide, and all of a sudden you're back in it. But I think that boils down the two things of how we got here and the Micah Parsons bit of it as well.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand these moves. I get the players, I get Quinnen Williams in particular, but they're 3-5-1, and
right.
I don't understand Jerry Jones, and I haven't for 20 years. This isn't something new, Jeff. I just don't get it, man. Like, they play the way they played last night. They got beat up, and they turned the ball over, and there's just no execution. I don't see how are they buyers? That's what I don't understand.
I think honestly, I think Jerry, Jerry's getting old, man, and he knows it. And, when you have an offense and you have a Dak Prescott that's as good as he is, we ain't promised any days. And as we get older, it feels like those days shrink up. And so I think he realizes if I got any shot, I might as well try to go all in. And why he didn't think like that in August of getting the deal done with Micah, other than, like I said, hurt feelings and ego at that point, it is what it is. But they Quinnen Williams will be he is a marked difference maker. Like, there's no doubt. Wilson, in and of itself, that trade I think is just kind of but he's a good player. Like, he's I think they're trying to get as many good ones as they can in that defense to help Eberflus, because the truth is, as much beating as he's taken as a coordinator, man, they got, they struggle for players. And so going to get two good ones to at least help until Overshown gets back full time. And they can rush the passer, but the truth is you got to earn the right to rush the passer. And they haven't been able to do that. And then offensively, they stunk it up last night, and they know that. You can't turn the ball over. You can't be sloppy, and they were all of the above. There's just no margin for error for this team. But, Jerry's going to – this is what Jerry does. And he said it on the Stephen A. Smith show yesterday, right? When they're going to become irrelevant, I'm going to stir the bleep up, right? And so he's stirring it up, and that's he wants to keep the Cowboys in our conversations and, selling the star. But ultimately – I think there are better teams, even with the additions in the NFC, that they're going to have a hard time competing with.
Jeff, it's been a bit of a different year in the NFL. There's been some teams in the past that we've looked at as front runners, maybe Baltimore having different down seasons, and some other up-and-coming teams that are making some noise. The Bills took down the Chiefs on Sunday. Who's kind of got your attention as an upper echelon team that's the team to beat this year?
Yeah, it's tough, right? I think the Colts have had a heck of a year. They had a bit of a setback with the game to the Steelers the other day. The Bills obviously are an extremely good football team, and I would say both of them, to me, separate themselves because of their offensive line play. Obviously, Josh Allen is an absolute dude, but there's a lot of good quarterbacks that can't keep going because of offensive line play, and that's really what happened to Mahomes against the Bills. So when you look at how the Bills are constructed, James Cook, the way he's playing, the way Josh Allen's playing, And I've said this kind of all season. McDermott, I mean, like, people beat him up. His defenses get better every year at the end of the year. He develops his defenses, and they get better, and that's kind of what you're seeing, that true progression. So I like both of those things. I think the Patriots are probably the hottest kind of young team. Drake May is playing out of his absolute mind, and they give up explosive plays on defense, but I think Braves will get that part corrected. So I like where they are, and so you look at the Broncos. I like where the Broncos are. They're a young team that's ascending. My only probably concern with that is they've won a lot of really close games in the fourth quarter. They haven't put it all together, and then there's the Bo Nix kind of question mark, right? Will he stay accurate in those moments? But that's probably my top when you're talking about the AFC.
Jeff, you just talked about top teams. Who would be your MVP right now?
Oh, that's a great question. I think Matt Stafford's got to be in that conversation. I think Josh Allen, to me, is always – I mean, your better teams, right? Daniel Jones has got to be in that conversation at this point in the season. And, again, I know he just has turnovers the other day, but it's like the body of work these guys are putting together is pretty impressive. But look, I think Jonathan Taylor's got to be in the mix, man. He's had an incredible season until the other day as well. So there's a lot of really good ones. The MVP conversation for me kind of gets fatiguing until we get down to see who teams are really going to separate themselves. Because Lamar hadn't even played really much this season. Mahomes has looked good when he gets his full complement, and then not look good. There's just a ton of parity. And again, so it'll be fun as it shakes down. But I'd love to see some other positions get in the conversation, right? Like the Puka Nacua early on with the catches he was making, but then he gets banged up, right? And like every other, most quarterbacks are going to play the majority of games, and unfortunately, some of our other positions physically it takes a toll, so they don't. But man, I love watching the other positions just as much.
With Jeff Saturday, so you mentioned your Colts, and they go out and acquire Sauce Gardner today. Gave up 2 first-round picks. We mentioned Quinnen Williams going to Dallas, and I'd like you to tag the answer with your thoughts on the Colts going out and getting him. But I'm curious where you're at with the Jets, where Aaron Glenn just got there. He's a defensive coach. Yes, they've been terrible. Yes, they're New York. But now Williams and Sauce Gardner are out. And, what are the Jets doing? I know that's a perennial question, but what is New York doing?
I think when you look at him, I think he went through the Detroit Lion rebuild, right, with Dan Campbell and the way that looks. I think he wants to he's trying to accumulate as many high picks as he can get and kind of stack the deck, right? And Detroit did it through their offensive line first, right? But the biggest splash for them is going to be go get a quarterback, and so they're trying to accumulate as many assets as they can to go get whoever they think is going to be steering, whether that's through the draft or through through free agency, whatever it is, to get enough to accumulate to go get their guy. And look, for whatever we say about positions in the NFL, if you don't got that one, you really don't got a chance, and that's just the truth of the matter. And so, Aaron Glenn understands that, and Justin Fields, he hasn't had the season that the Jets hoped he would have. It feels like they've kind of that ship has sailed for them, and so that's why they're accumulating all this, is to get that guy in, and whatever the highest assets that we can get the most for, that's kind of where they're trying to build from, and it's going to be a 3-year rebuild. And look, I said the same thing about the Colts after I stopped in there for that 8 game. It was going to take about 3 years, and that's where Steichen is now. I mean, people want instant gratification, and fortunately for some teams, they get it really quickly, but the majority have to go through a bit of a rebuild. I think that's where the Jets are. And you started it with the Sauce Gardner trade, and I think the Colts are telling you they think they're all in, right? Like Daniel Jones has been better than expected. Their offense is as hot as anybody in the NFL. but they needed defensive flexibility. And the reality was that the Ward injury, hopefully he'll get back. But the Bynum and, Sauce Gardner, Kenny Moore, like you start putting bodies back there, and you don't have to just play zone, right? Now you can get into some man matchup. You can put Sauce on a guy. He's a long body, but it allows you to bring pressure, 5 and 6 man, and to really help you, because the truth is the Colts haven't done a good job pressuring the quarterback with their front four. And Lou knows that. He knows he's got to create something. You just can't be static back there in zone. And so he's trying to acquire a bunch of guys. You get all those guys healthy, man, and it will help your pass rush and help that defense be aggressive. And that's really what Lou wants to get into.
Well, we're through the trade deadline. We're into November. It's go time now. It is go time, and we're going to see some separation, like you said, and we can't wait to see it all play out. We really appreciate you doing this as always. Thank you, Jeff.
Always enjoy it. You guys have a great one.
You too. Jeff Saturday, Super Bowl champ and ESPN NFL analyst. And listen, they're putting all the chips in with Indiana Jones, right? Danny Jones, Danny Dimes. It's like we're giving up future first-round picks, and we're all in here. But we'll see.
You got to love it. I mean, for a team that's, since Peyton Manning has been there, it's like they've had some good seasons, but you got to respect them trying to make a move, man.
Yeah. Listen, they've been really good. Like they have been crushing teams. Prior to the Pittsburgh game, crushing teams.
Dude, there's nobody in the league we used to carve more than Danny Dimes.
Dimes.
He took a lot of heat.
Last week, he was garbage.
Yeah, he wasn't
good.
5
turnovers? What was it?
Yeah, I thought did he throw 3 picks? I thought it was.
3 picks and 5 turnovers.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. And Pittsburgh's defense was due for a performance like that. They had not been good. They had been very leaky all year. But I think, what Jeff just pointed out, and I think we can apply this to every team, including the one we were talking about at 4. It's a long season, and like the good teams get better as the year goes on. It's one thing to have a hot start. That's awesome. No one takes that away from you. But like you get better and better and better, and you work on details, and you get more comfortable in your system, and you gain more confidence later in the season. And the NFL has always been about who's ready to play in December and January. Like that's really what it is. Who can play in December and January?
Right. And
we don't have that answer right now, but that applies to every league. You got to be ready to pounce at the end of the year. So, we'll see what happens here with the NFL. All right, Mike Johnson coming up in about 20 minutes. We've got Confirm or Deny still to come as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live. All right, Mike Johnson in about 15 minutes. It's a Tom Brady story circulating that we're going to have to address.
Dude, it's
I
insane.
think it's unreal.
He had his dog cloned.
I couldn't believe it when I read it to you.
Like, we got to dig in to see if there's some truth to it.
Well, he owns, or he's an investor in some company.
Yes. Yes,
dude,
it's
like
obviously
genetics or something. You can't clone a dog, man. Come on.
I think you can, man. I'm telling you right now, that guy is into some weird stuff, and he's a huge it's a story, but I think it's true.
He just because I saw a thing on Twitter where the guy was eating 3D printed steaks, and they tasted like real steaks. So you're telling me some guy just sort of throws some blood cells into a microwave, and out comes a new dog the same as your old one?
They have cloned sheep. They've cloned lots of things.
How does it work?
Dude, what do I look like?
I'm a scientist?
I don't know. If you're going to talk like this guy,
I don't know.
If you're going to talk like a guy just cloned his, you got to tell me how he did it. Did he throw it in an oven and out comes
the story you did that I guess he is invested. To me, it sounds like the reason it's public is because he's invested in some company. Listen, we're on the verge of some wild stuff possibly happening in the world.
With
AI, exactly, and science, and like it depends on who you talk to. Because remember, Y2K was going to change the world, and You know, 30, 40 years ago, everyone was going to be in flying cars, and we're going to be on
But here's the thing: what we're going to do.
Yeah, but when, though, Noodles?
Before we get to
you,
Johnny, I want Doogie to tell me how the guy got a new dog exactly like his other one.
I think it's a blood thing, and they fester it. Like I mean, cloning has been going. Well, again, I'm not a scientist. I don't have a degree. But in reading the article and reading what's being talked about, he's invested in like a biosciences company that I believe isn't cloning. There was to a point where they were talking about trying to clone people and they made it illegal, right?
Well,
but
yes, and that's what's scary about the future, man, is like how far do you go with the cloning thing? You know what I mean? Like that's
we got to do a cloning bit tomorrow. Like each Toronto sports team could clone. I don't know. We got to come up with some kind of cloning. Who would we clone for just anything?
For the Leafs? Like who could the Leafs clone? You know,
another Matthews.
Another Matthews?
Yeah.
That would be pretty good. You know, Matthews, your first and second line center. Well, he needed a new name. You know, like Brady did
who
name
could
the
you
new
clone
dog
and bring
else.
back as a 25-year-old, even a living guy?
Okay.
I don't know. There's some kind of cloning bit we could do tomorrow.
We can find a way to manipulate this.
But Doogie, I want to know how you do this. I want to know how Brady got the same dog.
Like,
tell me.
Isn't it like I've heard these stories? Like Walt Disney was so wealthy, like he froze himself or whatever, and is hoping to be brought back in the future.
Yeah, I guess where he is, he's still frozen.
That is, exactly. And I believe Ted Williams was another one famously, frozen. But I'm not sure I'm buying that, man. I think what's going to happen is it'll get cloned, and it's just going to be weird, man. Like, I think it's really scary stuff. Like, some of it is really – I don't want to be cloned, man. I don't need 200 years
so grumpy,
from now.
Nobody wants you cloned.
Hazy B being cloned. I'm probably not at the top of people's list.
Brian Hayes and Ryan Hayes.
Right. Yeah. Like, do you know how weird that would be? Like, he's gone, but we got another one right around the corner.
He's
you
more
open the
miserable.
door up. What if there was like a fit? Yeah, exactly. Like it accents on things that, you know, so if you're miserable, it's times 10.
Yeah.
You know, like that type of stuff.
Like they got the wrong mixture, man, and it's the worst of the worst. The clone.
Evil
doesn't
Ryan
know sports,
Hayes
and he's
evil.
more miserable.
Well, do you think Brady does that? Like if the new dog has some different personality, he's like, what's this guy doing, man? I thought I cloned
Get rid
you.
of it. Give me another one.
Yeah, like what? Hey, my old guy didn't like those treats.
Takes a massive deuce right in the corner of the living room. He's like, hang on a second here, you bastard.
That's not what I ordered. That's not where we were going with this.
You never did that before, little
this
weasel.
is freaking me out now. Brady's got some weird stuff going on, man. Weird stuff. Yeah. All right, hour 2 coming up. MJ will join us. Confirm or deny. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. Final score. Mike Johnson coming up here in a moment. Confirm or deny later in the hour. It was an emotional morning for me. Very emotional. Maybe the toughest day of the year. I gave the old hug and kiss to the golf clubs and packed them into storage this morning.
It's over, buddy.
Yep. It's the end of the road. The old I'll see you in 5 months routine. It's very difficult for Canadians, but it's a reality. It's a beautiful day today.
Dude, it's getting there's snow around the corner. I sense it. Like I live
Next
down
Monday.
near the
You
Seriously?
can feel it coming.
I saw it on the forecast. I was driving the kids to school this morning, and they were salting the road. And I'm like, why are they salting the road?
Yeah, there was problems. I told you, up in Vaughan's a snow belt. I also, whoever lives in Vaughan, I'd like to acknowledge Joe from the Bridge.
Yes.
Who sent the stupidest comment in our group chat for work that's ever been sent in the history of OverDrive. He said if Austin Matthews was cloned, he would be Matthew Austin. And I had to write back and say, Joe, that's the worst comment that's ever been sent.
Well, know Joe would support that. You know, Joe would support a full cloning. Joe, knowing the Leafs' luck, the cloning would be like a fourth-line player. You know, that's what they would get in the clone lottery. There'd be a clone lottery, and the Leafs would get a fourth-liner.
What if it was what if the clone came out the exact opposite? So he was 4
Let's do the clone lottery tomorrow. Put all the names. I'll put all the names in a hat, and Doogie can pick out the 3 players they get to clone and bring them onto their roster.
Okay. We're doing a clone lottery tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean,
it's getting a little bit strange.
That is strange.
It's getting a little bit over the top. Blame Tom Brady, not us.
I do believe that stuff is around the corner, and especially like these ultra wealthy people. They've been messing with stuff for years, I guarantee you, behind the scenes. Like, it's scary.
What I don't understand about the dog Noodles is it like, does the dog have the same feelings, etc., for Tom Brady that the other dog did?
I don't
That's
know.
what I don't know.
How would you ever know? It's a really strange play, man. Like, Brady's one of those guys. Like, Brady's been in high society for like 25 years, mingling with some people.
Yeah.
And he's invested in everything. He's an owner now. Yeah. Like, I don't know what's up with TB12, but
so you think TB12's been involved in high-level meetings that knows stuff about the future that none of us are aware of?
It's possible. It's possible.
Why
like the Illuminati.
Noodles, don't start. You're going to say something crazy, Noodles. That something's.
I'm not. I'm going to say, like, these people who are like the Bill Gates of the world. Jeff Bezos, have you seen a picture of him recently? He's jacked. Mm-hmm. You don't get jacked at 60 without doing something, weird. Like, I'm sure he's taking injections of testosterone or you name it.
But
the guy
really
is like,
projecting.
I'm just well, you don't get jacked at 60 out of nowhere.
Hear you.
Like the point being is, we've always seen it in front of our eyes. Matthew McConaughey, as he was going bald, all of a sudden he's got a full salad. Like,
which we support. We support hair cloning.
Turkey.
Hair cloning we support.
But I just think there are some weird stuff that goes on behind, high society doors.
I hear you, man. I'm with you. But why would you, if you're a multi-billionaire, why would you get in shape? Like, wouldn't you go the opposite way?
You want to look good, don't you?
I guess so.
Didn't that Zuckerberg remember how embarrassing that was when he came out like he was in somebody's corner, an MMA fighter or something.
He's an MMA guy.
Or a Mayweather. He came out for no, that was Bieber. But I do believe that Zuckerberg came out to an MMA, and it was like the weirdest thing. He could be. He's not athletic.
He's
at
not
all.
A big dude. He's not an athletic guy.
Right.
But
good on him. He can buy the world.
Yeah, listen, stay in shape. I'm not saying, like, don't stay in shape, but, like, jacked, you got to be cut. Why is that a priority for you? I don't know. Anyway, the clone draft, we got to mold that one. We're going to have to talk to
We got
the
some work
lawyers.
to do.
Yeah,
we got a guy on the line.
Figure that one
out.
We got a guy on the line who maybe could tell us if the Leafs want to be a real deal team. Give us 3 to 4 players around the league that you would clone and put them on the Leafs.
But you got to be realistic. You can't
no
say
kidding.
McCarr,
You can't say Cale
McDavid.
McCarr, McKinnon. You got to put the pieces together without being stupid. And this guy's a very smart gentleman.
All right, Mike Johnson joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Johnny, go ahead. Clone some players for the Leafs that they can acquire here.
Okay, I'm going to clone a guy just down the road, Alex Tuck. That's a guy that could help the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yep. He's pending UFA. He might be available. Big, physical, play all situations, can score at 5-on-5, has won a cup before, been in Vegas when they went really deep. I don't think he won the second year, but has been an instrumental piece of a winning team. Somebody like that would be very nice. They need more good players with pace, and Tuck's one of the fastest guys in the league. They're slow. The Leafs right now are slow. And so someone who can play with pace, O-Dog, I think Alex Tucky's sort of my number one target, dream target for the Toronto Maple Leafs if they could ever acquire him this year if Buffalo falls out of it.
And if they don't get him, they can clone him.
Then they can clone him. And then, do they need one more center? They need a third line. Got a lot of centers. They need like another good center. I got to think about who that might be. But, someone like Naz, but younger. But someone like Nazem Kadri who can play.
Yeah.
So a 25-year-old
I'm just saying.
Kadri.
Like a Colorado version of Nazem Kadri. Yes, exactly. Who can play in behind a number one guy, be agitative, who has one, can produce offense as well, but doesn't have to play in the power play. I think you get 2 guys. I don't even need 4. 2 guys like that, and the roster both have to be fast. The roster looks really different.
What about a defenseman, Johnny? Because that's been a hot-button topic in the 4 o'clock hour. We talked about the roster construction of the Leafs, the Tanev injury, and obviously, puck transporting, as you've been talking about. Is that something that would be high on your wish list?
Yeah, ideally with a right shot behind it would be quite important because after Tanev, they don't maybe have a guy, that does that. Carlo's a steady Eddie, but he doesn't pass the puck or advance it very well. So, a right shot. Rasmus Anderson, a guy like that. These guys are all available. They'll all cost too much for Leafs to pay. Leafs don't even have enough available if they wanted to go get them all. But guys like that, those are the pieces that they cannot afford to pay their contracts or the price to get them. But pieces like that change this team. But, every team wants guys like that. That's the other problem. Talk to Montreal about a second-line center. Talk to Ottawa about a right-shot defenseman. Around the league, everybody wants the same thing. And there's only so many of those guys out there that might be available or even clonable.
Well, Brian Hayes brought up a great point earlier in the show that the league is diluted, Johnny. But I'd like to ask you, with the Leafs being where they are at 7-5, with how crazy that game was last night, what is a reasonable position for a reasonable Leaf fan to be in regarding their team right now? Because their emotions would have been all over the map watching that last night, saying these guys stink. Because how many games have they stunk this year? A lot of them. And yet they're 7-5. They're in the mix, and it's kind of Leafy. And where should a Leafs fans' emotions be right now regarding the team?
The Leafs fans would probably appropriately be sort of cautiously concerned. Yes, the record's good, which you appreciate. Yes, they've had previous bad Octobers. You're not going to overreact to what was not a great October. But even in those bad Octobers, you could see the blueprints as to why the team might be good in the end. What would make them successful? It just wasn't happening every single night. We haven't seen that. We've talked about this almost every single week, exactly like how the Leafs are supposed to play, how they're going to play to be successful. And, last night, and it's not going to bury them for one bad game. A lot of teams have bad games. But that first 40 minutes was almost as bad as I can remember them playing. Mm-hmm. It was just that poor for that group. Now, to their credit, they needed 20 minutes and really great players, and they won the game, which they will have all year long. But they haven't shown the ability to play with this coach, with this system, with this personnel, a brand of hockey that will be consistently winning games in the NHL. So, that's why you can't panic, but you can't feel certain that it's going to get demonstrably better as we go through the next month either.
Well, how do you feel about, and I believe at practice today, the top line was Nyes, Matthews, Nylander. Like, how do you feel about that? Like the three of them sticking together and riding it out for a while?
Eggs in one basket. I guess they've tried enough of everything else that they are going to put all their top players. And poor John Tavares is like, wait a second, I'm one of the top guys. Where's my good line? But and hope that line carries. We see it when Edmonton and Draisaitl play together. I'm in Montreal tonight. Montreal's in first place. They have one line that is one of the best lines in the league, the Suzuki line. The other three lines don't do as much. They're not particularly strong. But when you keep it close, play good defense, get good goaltending, and your top line can do it every single night, that can be enough. But that just highlights exactly the same point we talked about to open with this fantasy cloning business. They don't have enough top six players. They don't have enough of them available to themselves to sort of make the lineup work the way they would ideally have it work, which is with Nylander and Matthews on separate lines. So I don't hate it. I just wonder how long they'll stick with it because Craig Berube has shuffled the deck a lot already this year. Like in-game, game-to-game. There's been zero continuity. And we always think about that in the terms of Matthews or Nylander or Nyes. But I would say it's way harder for the guys that are getting shuffled on and off those situations. You think it's like for Cowan, for Robertson, for McMahon, for Domi, for whoever. It's almost impossible for those guys to get any sort of rhythm and confidence and structure to their day-to-day existence. So, Matthews
sometimes
and
it's message sending, Johnny. Sometimes it's message sending from the coach where the coach is like, I got to keep doing this because there's nobody else. And he's trying to show everybody upstairs where it's like, you want to see that guy? There's that guy. And then there's that guy. And then there's that guy. And none of them are doing the job. So what else do you want me to do? I'm not saying that's the case, but a lot of time a coach.
Right? But not to the players, because the players just get fumbled around and they're not getting the best out of the players, which is what the coach wants to try to do. Now, if it's the passive aggressive, listen, look at me. I'm looking every single guy on the roster I've tried, and none of them are good. So go get me another guy to put on this roster.
Thank you.
That feels healthier to have a conversation and say that as opposed to perhaps do it to the detriment of your team. So I just don't think for those guys, and you think about like Robertson and Cowan and McMahon have all had not long tenured runs in the NHL. So those guys are already on eggshells, right? It doesn't take much to throw them off, like getting pulled off the first line after a bad period and a half. That would stick with you for a few days. I just think that would be something that I would want to be aware of while they rotate all these guys. So if you're going to go, whatever it was, what was it, Robertson and McMahon and Tavares, you might have to keep them there for 3, 4, 5 games and like let them feel like that's where they belong because they're good enough and then see what happens.
So, Johnny, if you're Craig Berube, is it a balancing act? Because you can't be yelling and screaming at the team all the time. So, have you seen, I mean, you're in between the benches, you watched every game. Have you seen a different Craig Berube, or has he been patient at times? Has he been yelling and screaming? Because we almost saw some wild swings from Chief last night where it was early and he was barking at his group, and then, he must have said something between the second and third because they came out like gangbusters.
So I would say that despite Craig Berube's playing career being somewhat volatile, he is a pretty calm behind the bench. Like he rarely yells at guys. He doesn't explode. And we've seen the clips of him telling Mark Savard to settle down. Like he's pretty even keel. I have seen, whatever we are, a dozen games into this year, already more emotion spilling over than I saw in the entire year last year. Like he's already shown greater frustration with what's going on in the middle of a game than we virtually saw at all last year. So I think that's where he's at. I think he's frustrated. I think he's trying to figure out, how do we get these guys to play better? How do we get these guys to do what I envision them doing? And at some point, we can talk about sort of intensity and physicality and juice and all. Like, they're obviously trying. It's not a group of guys who are not going to try. I just don't know if it might be square peg, round hole. Like, the way they play doesn't work with the way he wants them to play. And that's something that they have to work out as a group. But I will say this, Noodles, Hayes, you too. I've seen a lot of this, what did he say after the second? As if, the screaming, yelling coach, which it probably even wasn't that, but if it was the reason they came back and won. If that was the case, they would have played better in the second period. Like this idea that somehow, I want to hear what Tree said or what Craig Berube said. He said, wake up, you guys stink, play better. Something to that effect, which he will repeat 20 times this year. And this will be the only time it works. Like, I don't know about this Newt Rockney, John Tortorella explosion that rallied the troops. I don't buy it. I don't know what you guys think. I didn't have it much in my career where that sort of worked. They yell because they're mad because you're playing bad. You still play bad. You don't often turn it around. So I don't know how much credit I'm giving any sort of passionate second period speech from the coach. I'm not buying it.
Well, you also need the other team to do their part, right? And Pittsburgh didn't play as well in the third period. They ran out of gas, and to the credit of the Leafs, the second Matthews scored, you could sense it. Pittsburgh realized we were in trouble.
Lost his guy, too. Hey,
lost his guy. Yeah, off the draw, and then couldn't catch up to him. And it was a brilliant play, brilliant pass by McCabe. And then it's, Willie scores quick, and that's a team that has been running on confidence and played really well, and their goaltending's been great. And all of a sudden the dam broke, and the Leafs took full advantage, to their credit. But it takes two to tango when you're down 3-0. You need to play better, but the other team's got to kind of take their foot off the gas. And I think that's what happened last night. Yet, again, you look at it, you're in Montreal tonight. Montreal, because of the expectations, they're off to a great start, 9-3. Their top players are phenomenal. Caulfield's been great. Suzuki's been great. Daminov and Hudson. You go on and on and on. The Leafs are 3 points behind them. It's not, again, there's a glass half empty, there's a glass half full. Like, the Leafs could be 2 weeks away from being the top seed in the East. Like, it's not inconceivable.
That's the talk we need around here.
But it's the truth. Like, and I'm not disputing how they've been playing. I'm not saying they've been playing great. The point is, there's a lot of teams in their position. And in the top 4 teams in the East are Montreal, Detroit, New Jersey, Pittsburgh. None of them scare the other teams in the league, in the East. None of them scare Toronto, Florida, Tampa, Carolina. None of them are scared of those teams. So
I don't think anybody's afraid of anybody right now.
That might be the best way to put it out. I don't know if anyone's afraid of anybody.
Yeah. Colorado and Vegas might get somebody's attention just because of their personnel and their depth, but I don't think anybody's scared. Look, it's proven in the point differential within divisions. Bottoms like 5 points away from the top.
Yeah,
but that's the parity in the league. What did you use the word? Watered down league, whatever.
Oh, the league's been watered down for 5 years, Jamie. Someone tried to steal my saying, but
so diluted.
Diluted that's my word. You got to come up with your own Noodles, but I'll allow you to use it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But there isn't. That's the crazy part. Pittsburgh was the only team in the offseason that was kind of quote unquote rebuilding or open for business, right?
This explains why. Now there's still got to be realist in the league.
Yeah, but like Calgary is a team, but through like they're at the bottom. They got 3 wins, but like Calgary is a team that they can rely on their goaltender quite a bit, and everything has to line up for them to get to 96 points like they did last year. But there isn't a team that is flat out scorched earth going for McKenna right now.
No, you're right.
Correct?
Like even San Jose and Chicago's been good. They've lost a few in a row now, but they may not make the playoffs, but they are not, hell bent on coming in last. They're trying to grow and get better.
Yeah, so and they might not want to move guys, Jamie, because they're going to say, well, next year we got to have some guys still here to keep going.
But that's why I see the league is bunched up. There's a couple that had a great starts. There's a couple that have had poor starts, but everyone else is 3-4 points because they're only 12 to 14, 15 games in. So it's still early. We'll see a separation. What do you think, Johnny? A month from now, like with another 10 games?
It's so tight. I don't know. It probably might take till the new year, but I also think the Leafs were in last place in the East yesterday before the game. It's crazy, right?
They were close to it.
In
Yeah, they were. You're right.
Now they're back. I think literally in the standings they were last. Now they're back in a playoff position. But, yeah, I mean, I think Tampa's come. We talked about Tampa last week. Tampa's got it figured out all of a sudden. They've won 5 in a row. They're going into Colorado tonight. They look like they're figuring it out. But, yeah, this is the reality. No, other than Pittsburgh, who still may get there, there is not one team in the East that is in a rebuilding mindset. So they're Buffalo might not be good, but they're going to try to be good, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to continue to work to be that. So it's going to be harder. The longer this goes, and we're already, we say, they're just getting going. In 2 weeks, they're going to be a quarter of the way through the season. They'll be at 20 games-ish, right? They get a quarter of the way through the season. I think the longer this goes, the more likely it's going to stay tight to the end of the year. Some will drop off, and maybe 1 or 2 will get away. Maybe. But I think the days of March 15th rolling around and 3-5 teams in the East saying, we're home and cooled, that's not going to be the case this year.
No, and that'll set up for a great stretch run. And you got the Olympic break as well, and that's going to have an effect on, the jockeying for positions. And, speaking of which, we're getting closer to Canada, and all these nations having to announce their teams. And if you look at it, as of November 4th, the leading point getter in the league is Mark Scheifele. Mark Scheifele, who was not on the Four Nations team.
Was adamant this summer that he would be on the team. My assistant GM, with his research coming through, he's not lock's a strong word because lock is I'd say Mitch Marner is a lock. He's good. He's got off to a good start. He's on the last team, but Scheifele is he's on the team obviously, and he's almost on the team no matter what happens the rest of the way. Yeah, he's gotten off to a brilliant start. There's probably going to be 3 or 4 new forwards and maybe 1 or 2 new defensemen, and who knows, 2 new goalies probably too. But Scheifele will force his way on there. Celebrini, Suzuki. 1, 2, 3.
I was just going to say Nick Suzuki would be a guy that I would have to circle.
He's a lock. Think, Suzuki is a lock to make this a lock to be on the team.
What position does he play for you?
He's playing third line center. So you can have Connor McDavid 1, McKinnon 2. It allows you to put Braden Point and Sidney Crosby on the wings and have Suzuki play 3. And he can play offense. I got him with Mitch Marner and maybe Celebrini, something like that on the third line. And they can play offense, they can play defense, whatever you want, and just be a gross third line.
Good line.
I love Celebrini. Do you think he's a lock, though?
I like him as a lock, guys, just because of 2010. They had some young studs that nobody really thought was going to make it.
Yeah, Doughty, yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan Taze. Like, there were some young studs that were like, yeah, they just were good enough, they're on it. They didn't second-guess it. They didn't piss around. You're good enough, you're on it. Doughty, by the end of the tournament, I think he was one of their leading minute munchers.
He was. Taves, too, was playing a ton.
And Taves as well. Jumped right up. And you're going to ask him to play wing, right? They're not going to ask him to play center. He's not going to be on the power play. But you're going to need explosive skaters, right? You're going to need players who can make plays. And what was about Celebrini's 3 points out of the scoring lead in the league.
Yeah,
I don't know how you wouldn't have him on there in lieu of, like, Sam Bennett's gotten off to a tough start. Sorelli's better now, but Hagel had a really slow start as well. Like, those are some of the guys that probably, as much as the coach would love them, I wonder that they're not necessarily guaranteed to be back.
Well, Brad Marchand's another one. Like, I don't see him.
But he's gotten off to a good start, though.
That's the question. And Sid, I don't know if Sid's got a vote, but he'd probably advocate for him.
One thing is, Brian, that I think somebody brought it to your attention about a month ago. Is like, I think you thought it was Olympic-size ice, and it's not.
No, it's not. No, I never. No. I know it's NHL ice. It's not NHL rules. Was my point. The difference with, like, Four Nations? There's fights, there's hits, there's stick work, there's
no fighting going in this.
None of that. There's no scrums at the Olympics.
Sorry, I said that.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Half NHL refs, half international refs. So the reffing crews will also be blended as far as how they call a game.
Oh, yeah. You blow a guy up at the Olympics. There's some guy from Slovakia. Arm is going up.
5 in a game. Dude.
Right.
5 in a
Tom
game.
Tom Wilson's on my radar.
I don't think he's going to be on the team.
He's on
he
my
should have been
radar,
there at the Four Nations. He should have been in Montreal.
Those international refs, they're allergic to body contact. And I remember I was playing with Tyson. Tyson Nash hit a guy so hard when we were playing together in Europe. He knocked the guy's helmet 20 feet in the air. It was a clean hit. The refs blew it down, and they didn't know what to call. Both teams were perplexed.
Let me guess, they threw him out.
Well, they called a 5-minute major for what? Like, both teams were upset. The commissioner came out of the stands. He was on the ice in his shoes. It was ridiculous. And it was a clean hit. But, like, the reffing, you're right, Johnny, and you experience all the time at the Worlds and that. The reffing's so much different than NHL standard, correct?
Yeah, and you have to, be aware of that and choose your team accordingly. I mean, it just, it's going to be one of the factors, but yeah, it's coming around soon. But Scheifele, your guy, lock him up. He's on the squad.
Okay,
nice.
I like it. Scheifele, Suzuki, Celebrini makes a lot of sense. Defense, I'm curious what they do there. And even with the goaltending, like Binnington is on the team clearly.
Yeah,
yes, 100%. It might be Binnington, Logan Thompson, Kemper, Jake Allen are sort of the best playing Canadians. Now, Kemper hasn't been great, but Logan Thompson's been incredible. He's been like the best guy in the league. But I don't know if they love the idea of him being on the team. I don't know.
Well, and Montembeault's had a tough start, and Aiden Hill. I mean, Aiden Hill's there too, right? So
tough
it's just,
start and hurt.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's Binnington's net to lose, basically. And St. Louis hasn't had a great start, but Binnington's still the guy, and they trust him. And Doug Armstrong, that's his guy.
Yeah,
right?
He's on it. I'm not disputing that. I'm wondering, it feels like we're going to get back to the tournament and not feel great about that position, and you're going to have to just trust Binnington to come alive, and step up in the biggest moments like he did at the Four Nations.
Exactly.
And then if it's Thompson, and I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do there. And, again, on the point, we'll see because
they got Shea Theodore will be healthy, right? He didn't play last tournament because he broke his wrist or whatever. Harley will be there the whole time probably. Taves McCarr will be there. Morrissey will be there. Guys like Parayko and Doughty. But who's your right shot guy? Dark horse for you, Hazy, before we go? Brandon Montour.
Ooh.
Brandon Montour, Seattle. You want a guy with lively legs, competitive spirit, doesn't back down from any moment or anybody, and he shoots right? He could be one of the 8. And maybe play his way into a bigger role.
Picking the team or something?
I'm just saying, stay tuned next Monday. There may be a release coming.
Okay.
Okay, man. Okay.
Let me throw this one out. Mini Jerry's Matthew Schaefer's on the radar. Schaefer's on the radar.
What's my radar? Are we talking Top
let's
Gun?
Say 12
periphery of the radar?
Is he in the top 12 for Canada?
No.
He's not in the top 12.
I love Matthew Schaefer. I love everything about him. I just think, as great as he's been, you still see him make the odd mistake. He still plays defense like he can correct everything with his legs. Because, he gets out of position, he gets caught up ice, but he catches people. In that tournament, he won't be able to catch everyone, and you can't make those mistakes. He's still learning. He's so good, but I just don't think
he looks good.
He's so good. He's so good. I just don't think in that kind of tournament, they would pick Drew Doughty over him 10 out of 10 times just because of the experience.
Okay.
That's fair.
All right. We'll leave it there, Johnny. Have a great call tonight. Should be a fun one. We'll do it later in the week.
All right, fellas. Have a good night.
There he is, Mike Johnson, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Get in and go where adventure takes you in your 2025 Tacoma from Maple Toyota, near Canada's Wonderland and the Maple Auto Mall. Visit mapletoyota.com.
That Schaefer.
Can they bring Schaefer to sniff around?
Well, they bring 8 defensemen. I don't think he's on it. He's 18. And it's a position where
but can you bring him to sniff?
No, I don't think you can. You can't bring, extras and stuff.
The other thing, too, is remember the uproar. Lane Hudson didn't even make the U.S., the top 44 in the U.S.,
Right.
I think he was added to it.
I'm assuming now he is. I'm assuming he's on the radar. But this Schaefer kid, I did an Islander game, Matt. He can play, and he's not cocky.
Got the it factor, man.
But he does. Yeah, that's what it is. You can tell he's a special player right away. And he made some mistakes that night against Ottawa, but it was I'm playing. So be it. Let's go. And not afraid of anything, not afraid of the moment, making plays. He's a super. I kept thinking, this kid's 18.
Who do they have playing with him, Jamie?
I
don't know off the top of my head. Who's playing with him right now?
Mayfield, I believe.
Yeah, they got to make sure that they got a real Josh Manson type steady influence on that guy.
Sure,
and you'll have a monster on your hands, an absolute monster.
Yeah, I think it was Schaefer and Mayfield, and then there was Pelican Pulak that were playing together. But that Schaefer, he's not afraid of the moment. And that night, Sanderson was really good that night too. So I'm watching Sanderson, and then you're watching Schaefer. Different players. I always try and compare, who is this guy? I'm having a tough time for a comparison for Schaefer. As far as skating style, the way they play. Mm-hmm. Lane Hudson reminds me of Quinn Hughes kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Jake Sanderson reminds me of Scott Niedermayer, the way they skate and they use their feet. I'm trying to figure out what Schaefer reminds me of. Because I don't have a comparable right now.
I'm not sure either. Because he can really skate, that kid. Too.
Yeah.
He can motor.
But he's lanky. It's weird. He looks like a defensive Zegras. He's got the kind of surfer dude look and pretty, kind of. I don't know.
But Paul Coffey vibe for you? Is that?
Coffey was not the skating style, but you're right. Maybe that type. But I think he's better defensive. Koff was just a forward.
Man, unreal.
Koff went north.
Crazy, Paul Coffey.
Koff just played north.
All right, best bets coming up. Confirm or deny. We'll do that next.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, confirm or deny. Statements are made, and we either confirm them or we deny them. Very simple stuff. All right, let's get into some Blue Jays. We haven't talked about the Jays today. And I saw a story that I guess Ernie Clement was down at a pub in Rochester watching the Bills game on Sunday. That's a way to kind of lick your wounds. Get back home, probably surrounded by your boys, a big Bills fan, watch them beat up on the Chiefs. That's how you get over things.
Yep.
All right, confirm or deny. The 3-pack of Shapiro, Atkins, and Schneider will be in Toronto for at least the next 3 full seasons.
100, make it 5 years. 100% confirmed.
You're confirming 5 years.
No,
the three of them will
is
be
fine.
here.
3 is fine for me.
No, when you have a run like this, World Series appearance, you got a 5-year grace period where you can send a message to the fan base and ownership that you can get that vibe and feeling back. And after 5 years, if it's not there, somebody gives you the middle finger and says, get lost. They got 5 years. Confirm. 100%.
I'm 3 years, and I'm confirming it. 5 might be a bit rich because what if they botch some deals and stuff like that, spend a bunch of money, and the team goes back to 74 wins? Like, there's no guarantee. I mean, there is a framework of some very good players there. But baseball seems like a lot different than other sports where it's like this team's a lock to go back. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing because they're losing some arms, right?
Yeah. The key in threading the needle is getting new bodies in that mix and have the same kind of chemistry because that doesn't always happen, man. That's why I always said when you have that kind of chemistry and have that kind of success and it wasn't expected, you got to cash on your chance because who knows when that comes around again for those guys.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reality, and that's what makes it so crushing is that you had that many opportunities, and you had 2 games to win the World Series. You had Game 6 and Game 7. They were both close, and you had great opportunities. I'm going to deny this because I think we lose sight of the fact that 3 years is an eternity in pro sports. 3 years is an eternity. I believe Nick Nurse got through his 3rd year after winning the championship. I believe he got through 3, and then Masai said, thank you very much. Masai got through 5, and then he's out.
Yeah.
And they won the NBA championship. Again, I know I know how close they were. Fact is, the Blue Jays did not. And it doesn't even have to be about the negativity creeping in. What if they do great over the next year or 2 and someone gets plucked? What if it's like, well, this team is calling on that guy? And I would guess that Atkins would probably be the one that would represent that. Where Mark's at the top and you get an option to go somewhere and be the president of baseball operations somewhere else.
Yeah.
And he would be at the top of those lists, I think, circulating. Like, I don't know, might have been Keegan said that Mark Shapiro is on a list of executives that gets talked about as replacing what's his nuts there?
Bobby Mans, Rob Manfred.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's it, exactly. Like, what if Shapiro in 2 years says, I'm going to go do this or do that? It doesn't have to be a negative thing. I know that's where our minds naturally go.
Yeah.
But that's possible, too. Now the expectations are so high, and the money's going to be likely spent at a high level, so ownership's going to lean on you, say, I'll open up the checkbook and pay. You better win, man. No more 74-win seasons anymore. Like, if those happen, we got trouble on our hands. 3 years is a long time in pro sports, man.
Yeah, but look at it. Like, you just get associated with a team for Schneider. Like, Kevin Cash has been with the Rays for how long, man? Mm-hmm. He's just their guy. They go through they've been going through some down times. He's still their guy, isn't he?
Yep. Yes, and they're a little bit different in terms of, like, what they're willing to spend. And I hear you. Listen, I would be pulling for that. Like John Schneider did a great job, and these guys, they've completely redeemed themselves in the market, and they've been here for a long time.
Yeah,
right.
Like Shapiro and Atkins have been here for a decade, man. That is an eternity in pro sports.
Yes.
But 3 more years is a lot. 5 years is a ton. They're not getting through 5 years.
I'll bet you $500.
All right.
Okay, mark that down, Doogie.
With interest.
$500, 5 years.
Inflation in 5 years, what's that worth?
Are you guys 100% that Bo stays?
I'm not 100%.
I'm not even close, to be honest with you.
What would be the most sickening outcome?
Yankees or Dodgers?
Yankees,
Which
Dodgers, or Red
Which
Dodgers.
one's grosser?
Dodgers would make me Dodgers would piss me off.
Dodgers would piss a lot of people off.
I think Yankees would be. Wouldn't Yankees be worse? Because you're staying out. You're staying not a team that won. you could see if he's going to the team that won and has won back-to-back. If he's
I
going
think
to
the Yankees, Jamie, would be sniffing hard.
Oh, I really think so too, man. Like you know what they went through with that shortstop this year. Volpe is a guy that whole market can't stand.
They hate that guy.
Yes, and Bichette, has hammered the Yankees, and it would be a big pluck taking him away from Toronto.
Yes,
I think it would sting more. Probably the Yankees, because you're right, Noodles, that he's in your division, and now you got to see him like 15 times a year. 12, 15 times a year. Where the Dodgers would be a Kevin Durant type play, though.
Yeah, you're chasing it, right? Instead of, I'm going to go join the team that won. You're going to the Yankees, it's either money or, the marquee of going to New York.
It's Broadway. It's New York.
Right. Like, that's the difference. Because if you lay the organizations beside each other, why wouldn't you choose, playing with Vladdy, playing here in Toronto, like as opposed to New York? But yeah, it's New York. They might. I don't think they should pay more because I think the Jays can afford it. But it's more, I chose the Yankees and we beat them, but I'm going there still. Whereas the Dodgers, you can understand, you're going to a super team technically.
Right. Yeah, the Yankees both would sting. Both would really sting. The Yankees, though, in particular, would be very tough.
Yeah. The Yankees and the Dodgers, or what the Mets, they will challenge the term, I've always wanted to be here. This is where I've wanted to be. They will challenge how much you mean that.
Yeah, and I think Keegan was tweeting about it this morning where, he said his belief is a tie would go to the Blue Jays. Like, he genuinely believes that Bichette, both teams are offering the same thing. He'd stay here. But
but those two teams we just mentioned, they don't do the tie stuff. They go $50 million over. They go $100 million over.
They might. And if they do, then it's put up or shut up time for the Blue Jays. Because I think Bichette would give them the benefit of that information, saying, hey, this is what they're offering. Give me a shout in the next 24 hours and let me know. And they're going to have to make that call. Confirm and deny. Vladdy Jr. has a chance to be the most popular athlete in Canadian sports, modern Canadian sports. Like, I don't think you can put, like, Gretzky and, that's a whole different story.
He easily has a 2-year run because I don't know what the Leafs are going to accomplish this year, and I don't think the Raptors are accomplishing much, so I think he's got at least a 2-year run of being the man around the city of Toronto.
Well, it's Canadian, though. Like, for me, McDavid would have to be at the top right now, and I'd say even though he doesn't play here, like you look at a guy like Sid who's still playing, is so popular up here.
Yeah, what if
right
they win
now,
a gold
dude,
medal?
It's Vladdy right now. You can't argue that. Come playoff time, if McDavid or Sid somehow ends up in some kind of cup final, it's somebody. But for right now, it's Vladdy, and he has a long leash of staying there.
McDavid just had 2 cup finals and had the same outcome as Vladdy.
I'm just talking about recency bias right now. Vladdy Jr. just led his team to the World Series. Right now, he's the most popular guy in Canadian sports.
I don't know. He had a great run. I don't know. I think it's not for me. I think McDavid. If they win the gold medal in February,
that's February. I'm talking about right now.
Yeah. No, But you said has a chance to be, Brian. Re-say the question again.
Yeah. Well, take it whichever way you choose. This isn't an exact science
most
here.
Popular
this isn't cloning. We're not in a cloning lab here where you need to be precise. But, I would still say it's McDavid in terms of billboards, in terms of, now it's different markets, right? Because Toronto, Vladdy's got the advantage of being in Toronto, which is the largest market. There's just way more people. And he's also got the exclusivity of the sport, where McDavid, I don't think people in Calgary love McDavid. People in Vancouver don't. They appreciate his talent. Sure, obviously they do. But why, if you're in Calgary, you don't love the guy. Why would you? He beats you all the time. Vladdy isn't competing with anyone else in the country, which is a huge benefit to him. There's the language barrier, which he has been getting much better with. And I thought he did an incredible job of just saying exactly what you had to say over the last month, 4 or 5 weeks. He played it brilliantly, and he backed it up with performance. But, I'm with you. I think right now, but this is the definition of recency bias because, now hockey's going to take over. If McDavid, you look at it, he's a point off the lead in points. He's right there. If Edmonton gets it going, and they haven't had a good start either, But if he has a great Olympic Games, that's going to launch him into an area that Vladdy can't compete with.
What about a soccer player?
I don't see like Davies or David. I don't think they're on the same level. You know, I think they were competing a few years ago when they made it to Qatar. They were definitely in competition for that. It was such a feel-good story. I'd throw Shea Gilgeous-Alexander out there too.
Yeah,
like
I was going to say.
Shea is on a very short list right now.
Yeah, but 2 weeks after that was over, it was just like, okay, where's McDavid or where's Vladdy?
And that's the thing. Vladdy again's playing here. Shea's playing in Oklahoma City.
Exactly.
Like no one's got an attachment to Oklahoma City.
No.
Nobody. So.
Yeah, popular. Yeah, it's Vladdy or McDavid. That's
right now, I think
now.
That's valid. I do.
Fair.
I mean,
and Vladdy, what he did last week, like literally 3 days ago. So yeah, like it Vladdy with the edge. But let's see what 2 weeks from now or 2 months from now, it's probably a different conversation.
And he's got to keep it going. Like McDavid's been doing it consistently for a decade, where he's been the best player. And Vladdy has never been, and he still isn't, the best player in the game. That's still Ohtani or Judge. So Vladdy's got to double down. And that'll be interesting to see what the bar is set at, like what's acceptable for him during the season next year.
What is acceptable? Like, he didn't have a great regular season.
No, it wasn't like explosive numbers. It was good. It was fine.
He had 23 homers.
Yeah, no,
I know.
exactly.
Barger had 21, I think, didn't he? Like, it was close.
I get it, but that's what But he did himself such a service by performing in the playoffs. So now you're the clutch playoff guy, you know, and that's you compare and contrast with the Leafs. It's always been the opposite. Wow, these guys, man, you ever see them in October and November? You won't believe it. You won't believe the way these guys play in January and February. How they play in April and May? Well, doesn't matter. It's you get so many more points and more time if you do it in the playoffs. Right? Like, that's ultimately what people really want. Playoff performer first, regular season performer second. And he has that going for him. But I think the bar will be set pretty high, and it should be. He's going to be the third highest paid player in baseball next year.
Yep.
He's got to be one of the top 8 or 10 players in the game. All right. See Live Golf going to 72 holes. I was going to fire that in as if anyone cares. But there's old Live Golf trying to catch up. They're going to get rid of shorts next. The music's going to turn off.
Those guys are going to complain.
Yeah, I know. All right. Anyway, best bets coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, best bets coming up here in just a moment. Raptors in action, Milwaukee in town tonight. Raps have now won a couple in a row, so they had a slow start, but they've tried to figure it out. They're actually favored tonight. Best bets powered by FanDuel. I'm going to lay the points. I'm on the Raptors, getting some redemption. They got beat up by Milwaukee about a week and a half ago, but I'm on the Raps tonight at home. Best bets powered by FanDuel. From tip-off to the final buzzer, all NBA games are available on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 18+. Physically located in Ontario. Tomorrow we're, I don't know, we got to figure out what we're going to do tomorrow. The whole cloning thing might be a bit extreme, even for us.
It might be an option. If you could clone Dougie in 93 or this player in 2017, I don't know. Maybe.
How about cloning a trade? That might be it. Can you clone a trade? Because that Gilmore trade, that's what you're talking about. That's what you need right now.
Yes.
A monster 5-for-5 trade. And
I don't think you'll ever see that again.
You can't. The money will never work. You can never make money work like that. And there's too many guys with no trade clauses. We can just keep it simple.
If somebody could propose a trade and we just sift through them and say, does this make sense? We can keep it as simple as that.
Man, it'd be so great to get a Doug Gilmore type trade right now.
Wasn't Gary Lehman in that trade?
Yeah, he went the other way. Gary Lehman. You know who went the other way was Craig Berube.
Yeah,
that's right.
Craig Berube was one of the 5 Leafs that went the other way.
Yeah, he was.
Man, oh man.
But Gary Lehman was, I think, kind of the main piece from the Leafs going the other way, and obviously Gilmore and McCowan came back the other way. Jamie McCowan had a good run.
He's a good guy. He's gritty, man.
Yeah.
Gritty.
Yeah.
He's a beauty.
Absolutely. All right, boys. Well, we'll iron some stuff out. We'll figure it out.
Doogie, get to work.
Doogie's on the warpath right now. Doogie's gonna iron this out and have everything prepared for tomorrow. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, and every show streaming live on YouTube, live on TSN's YouTube channel. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
cloning segment at 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.